What the argument is that if you think the war is doing harm, then taking care of soldiers is contributing to the war, and that would be doing harm. I completely disagree with that. I think that if we have soldiers in war and we don't take care of them, that's doing a huge harm. That's the biggest harm.
Like being in the healthcare profession, there is an element of being close to humanity, seeing the pain that was being caused by this war to Iraqis and Americans, made me question the morality of war.
My name is Louis Gewurtzman, and I'm a general surgeon. I went to medical school in Houston, Texas, at Baylor College of Medicine, and after graduating there, I went and did my residency in New York at New York Hospital, Cornell Medical Center in Manhattan. After finishing my residency, I've been in practice here in Olympia, Washington for 15 years, and for the past 10 years I've been in the Army Reserve. I'm a lieutenant colonel.
Yes, my name is Agustin Aguayo. Training as a medic takes place at Fort Sam Houston for all the medics in the Army, and it's 4 months long. And we are taught the basic emergency medical technician training. That is the foundation of our training. That takes about 2 months, 2.5 months, and then after that we are given specific training geared towards combat.
I don't know if joining the military actually fulfilled my mission as a physician. I come from an immigrant family. My grandparents, all 4 of them, are immigrant Jews from Eastern Europe. So the reason I joined the military is a sense of obligation to the country. It really didn't have a whole lot to do with being a physician. It was more a way for me to pay back the debt I owe.
One night I was working in the Home Depot, and I heard on the radio an announcement about the National Guard, and I thought, well, maybe I should look into this, serving my country, giving back. I had just recently become a U.S. citizen, and I wanted to give back to the country that had given me and my family so much.
I get sort of tired of the lip service that comes about supporting the troops. My goal is to not just give that lip service. I don't want to just say I support the troops. I want to get on an airplane and support the troops. Since 2003, I've been deployed 3 times, once to Bosnia, once to Iraq, and once to Afghanistan. I left home in September, was deployed to Mosul, which is in the north part of Iraq. I was with the 399th Cash.
During the first 6 months I was in Iraq, I was assigned guard duty. Around the bases, there's these huge towers, and we'd go up there and stand, look around for hours. I came to see that medics in today's Army are really infantrymen that have a few life-saving skills. The problem is the Army is really so short-handed. It really doesn't matter what your job is. You're a rifleman. You're a soldier first. The cooks in the military actually don't have a job in Iraq because all the cooking is done by civilian contractors. So then cooks go on to do combat missions. I have to say that the medical care given in the Army is different than medical care in the civilian sector. It's the medical care given in the Army is specifically focused on the mission, not necessarily the human care. And I have a few examples of this. There was an explosion that went off right after we hit the streets. We left our base. Upon leaving the gates, a huge explosion, and we rushed to the scene. And it was an Iraqi police truck, and two Iraqi policemen were affected by the explosion, and their bodies were actually on fire, and I could see them in the distance, a few 150 meters away from where I was. And my platoon, the platoon I was with, just stayed back. And the idea being, well, we didn't cause the harm, so we were just there to maintain order. We didn't go in to provide the medical help we could have provided, which there was only one medic with that group, which was me. So we waited, and then a few minutes after we got there, then Iraqi ambulances came in, and they provided the help for them.
Being a surgeon for me means being able to make a difference in an individual's life when they need it the most. Or let's say there's an explosion in a marketplace in Mosul, downtown Mosul. They'll typically do some triage out in the field and bring the most injured people first.
Triage is a French word that means to sort. In combat, we have to decide who gets treated. In a given situation, we have to decide what is going to be more beneficial to the mission. If we can treat someone that can go back and fight, we're going to treat him first. We're going to treat lastly the person that is severely has no chance of going back and fighting.
What happens at the hospital for us, we are waiting for them to arrive. We've got everything all set, all the personnel are in place, we know the helicopters are on the way. They arrive, we may know 20, 30, whatever number of people are coming. They land, the first thing we do is triage them before they even enter the facility to make sure that there's no weapons. We get them completely undressed, so to speak, and get all the possible ordnance off them, and then bring them into the emergency room. At that point is another level of triage. The whole idea behind triage is to preserve the most number of lives. The example is, if you have only one operating room and you have two people that need an operation, two people that are critically ill, but one of them, if you operate, they're likely to recover, and one, if you operate, they may still not recover because they're injured too bad. The whole idea is to figure out which one is going to benefit from the operation, because if you pick the one that isn't, you killed them both, or they both die. If you pick the right one, at least one lives. So we might have 25 people that are injured. Some are going to be very minor, some are going to be serious, some are going to be so serious that we really don't want to expend energy on it, or resources, or time. We only have 3 operating rooms. If we fill those 3 operating rooms with people who are not going to make it, then 3 more die too. So not just 3 people die, 6 die. So it's a very important decision to decide who we can actually treat under those emergency circumstances. And whether they're Iraqis, Americans, I don't think it even comes into the equation at that point. I think most of the decision making is based on injuries. I quite frankly don't even know who's who. In Iraq, I typically made these decisions. I would circulate through the emergency room, and all of the surgeons would report to me what they have, and I would do my best to decide who's salvageable, who isn't, and who we should expend our resources on. And quite honestly, I don't even know. They don't have a uniform on. They're buck naked. I don't know who they are. We pretty much make those decisions based on what the medical circumstance is. I don't think no enemy combatant that makes it to a hospital in our system is going back into combat. They're going to prison after they leave our hospital. But then you do have to remember that our primary mission is to take care of American soldiers. So we certainly can't use up all our blood on an Iraqi enemy combatant so that we can't take care of American soldiers. So at some point, we do have to make a decision who gets the resource and who doesn't.
My intentions when I joined the Army were to help. I wanted to do good things, and being a medic, I thought that's key, that's essential. But in reality, I saw these horrible things taking place around me that I supported and I was a part of. I was in the room one day when one of the doctors that was with us had just treated a local Iraqi contractor that worked at our base. And the man had just left. He had asthma, so he was given an inhaler by our doc. And after that, our company commander came in and he saw that our doc had treated the Iraqi civilian. And he told the doc, you know, you have to stop helping these people, because if you don't, you're never going to get them off your back. They're always going to be asking you for stuff. And I thought, wow, you know, if I said these things to someone, you know, who would believe me? But that was happening. We had shelves of medicine, and we were in this foreign country, and the very least we could do in my mind, I thought, give someone an inhaler to treat their symptoms.
This is a presentation that I gave to some physicians and nurses at St. Peter Hospital a few years ago after I got back from Afghanistan. Most people, when I show them these pictures, are sort of shocked at the devastation that war injuries cause. I mean, it's really quite dramatic what happens to a human when they get hit with a landmine, for example. You know, for me, war injuries, it's a challenge to me, and there's a certain gratification from figuring out how to help someone and, you know, practicing my skill. So I guess what I'd say is when I was in Afghanistan and in Iraq, I felt like my entire life led up to this. I was in the right place at the right time with the right people and the right skills to make a difference. Well, we took care of a lot of children in Afghanistan, not necessarily war injuries. Some of them were simply, they got burned in their family cooking fire, and we took care of them. But many of the children in Afghanistan step on landmines that are left over from the Russian invasion, and I think also the Taliban used them. I don't know for fact, but I think they used the landmines too. So children are the victims of landmines, and we treated quite a few of them. And it's very gratifying to operate on a child and get them well again. I mean, there's nothing more gratifying. We could have made a big difference in Afghanistan. I think the U.S. Army and the military in general could have made a huge impact in that country, but we didn't.
I'd like to share with you how troubling being a medic became for me within the military. Soon after we arrived in Iraq, we had a sit-down with the people that were leaving there, the medical platoon that my unit was replacing, and they said very troubling things to us. For example, one of the officers gave us this advice. He said, "You medics have to go out and explain to your infantry comrades that when they use their weapons, they have to make sure they finish the job. Because if they don't, then there's going to be more work for you guys." I looked around me and I thought, is anyone else having trouble with what I'm hearing? It became very clear to me that our mission there as medics was not to take care of the human aspect of this war, but in reality to support this horrible mission.
Let's understand how wars happen. Wars don't happen because soldiers make them happen. Wars happen because our elected leadership make them happen. And what I'm there doing is taking care of the soldiers who are doing their job. I have no problem with that. Without soldiers, we have nothing. We have no freedoms. You know, it always amazes me that people don't realize why we're free in this country. Why we have the freedom we do is because we can defend ourselves, and no one can take it away from us. And the ones that provide that freedom are the soldiers and the Marines and the sailors.
I was going to Iraq, and in my mind, I wasn't going to hurt anyone. I wouldn't load my weapon when I left the gates. I wouldn't load my weapon when I did the guard duty I told you about. After a while, people saw me. I tried to keep it a secret, not loading my weapon. I would pretend. I would try to be the one that drove all the time. When someone drives, they can just stash their rifle to the side, and no one really pays attention. So after a while of doing this, people caught on, and they started talking. And one of my a sergeant that I worked for found out, and he was very upset at me. He said, "You've put everyone in danger," and he was screaming at me, and that was it. I wasn't punished or anything. And they didn't follow up on, is he still doing that? But then they started relying less and less on me. So that's what happened. And when I returned to Germany, I continued to fight my legal battle to be recognized as a conscientious objector. And when I started fighting that battle, I went to my command and I said, "I'm not going to train with weapons." They didn't like it, but because of Army regulations, I was allowed not to train with weapons. But I failed my civil suit, and my unit was again getting ready for another tour in Iraq, and I was told, "Okay, you're a soldier and you have to train with weapons again." And I said, I'm not going to do it.
Sure. Yeah. All physicians, everybody except for chaplains in a war zone carry some type of weapon, either a rifle or a 9mm weapon. I have a 9mm. I never even loaded it when I was there. But I mean, I had bullets with me, and I had a weapon with me, but it wasn't necessary for me to put the bullets in the weapon. Well, it's do no harm is probably the most important phrase that I keep in the back of my head. I mean, it's basically how I approach every single patient.
When we act against what we feel inside and we harm ourselves, and we really harm ourselves. And I really saw that I really harmed myself when I became a part of this war, and many times these things around me happened, and I supported them. I mean, I just stood by and I let it happen. That we have to support those that are fighting for peace and justice.
It's, you know, the whole point I'm trying to make is I don't support this war. I really don't. I think it was a poor decision on our leadership's part to do this. But that doesn't mean I think I'm doing any harm by taking care of the brave men and women who implement the decision.
Some people would say those that refuse to fight are cowards. How dare they? They signed up, they raised their hand, and yet when it's time, when they get called, they turn around. I mean, if things were just that easy, I wanted the Army to help me improve my life, to become a model. I wanted to be this model U.S. citizen. And when I filed for a conscientious objection, when I refused to redeploy, I became this person that was gonna have a struggle, you know, for the rest of my life, really. Felonies in my name. It's like the opposite of what I wanted. I wanted opportunities in life, and now there's opportunities that will be denied to me forever. I mean, who really wants to live like that? I know what Iraq was like. I know that most people don't die. As a medic, my life would have been easier if I could have done things to make my life easier in the Army, as many do cleverly find a way. It was more, it wasn't about my personal safety. This, me not returning with them was very personal to them. But I honestly had to say, I really have to tell you that being in any position there, I was really enabling the operations to take place.
What I hope the American people will remember is that supporting the soldiers is not necessarily supporting the war. If they don't support the war, that's all well and good. That's what this country's based on, is the right to express your opinion, and I defend that. But we need to remember that the soldiers don't make that decision. They're doing their job, and we need to support them.
I would have to say that we are all responsible as a society for what happens around us. And we all have a part. We all have a voice. If we all sit down and say, well, I can't do anything about what's happening, you know, then what can we expect for the future? This is a tragedy, that what's happening right now. Our soldiers are suffering. The Iraqi civilians, it's devastating. Yet we can completely forget here in America and in the comfort of our daily lives what's happening. So the message is we can't forget, and we can do something.